Hello and welcome to Esther's Gardening Adventures. I'm Esther and today I'm back at the house and I'm working on my backyard to build out some of my flower beds. So if you've been following my journey, I am planning on having mostly native plants, but some bulb spring flowers and other things in my gardens in the backyard. And I've really kind of I'd say sort of neglected or ignored the backyard for the last 2 years of gardening because my first year was just learning how to garden and I realized the front yard is where all the sun is, so everything got moved to the front yard. Last year was trying to expand my garden. I had to shift to a flower bed in containers, and I was just kind of focusing on learning how to grow even more. And then this last year, when the Audubon Society had someone come and do a consultation on my property on how I could grow native plants and ecosystems to benefit local wildlife, including birds. They told me, the ladies who came told me that there are actually a lot of native flowers that can handle a range of conditions from full sun to partial shade. Most native plants are pretty adaptable. Of course, there's some exceptions, and some plants do better, with more sun or less. And of course, things like ferns, they're a shade plant. So that got me thinking that I can grow things in the backyard that I had never considered before. So my backyard is part shade to full shade in the full summer. In the spring, it gets full sun because the tree above, the sweet gum tree, this massive thing that its branches extend beyond our yard even, in the summer gives us probably part to full shade. And so I've been learning how to build out the backyard. And so in addition to having the rental garden, the community rental garden that I have this year, I'm also working on building out the beds here in the backyard. And today I'm going to take you and show you how I'm building out those beds. It's going to include using up some of that cardboard that I had saved up last year that I was planning on using in my community garden, but it turns out it'll still get plenty of good use here. I have a ton of plants that I've grown using winter sowing that are native flowers and perennials and other things that will do just fine in my backyard. So I need to start prepping the beds for all of these things. Now, a lot of these are also vegetables and flowers that'll be in full sun in my community garden. And by the way, if this is your first time hearing about winter sowing or seeing something like this is a process for growing seedlings outdoors and things like milk jugs instead of indoors under grow lights. You can grow just about anything using the winter sowing process, including flowers that require cold stratification. I have several flowers that are already sprouted that require 30 to 60 days cold stratification. So it's a really great way to grow native plants. As for flowers that I've winter sowed that are native, here's a few that have sprouted already. So I'm in Maryland Zone 7A. One includes cardinal flower. It's a beautiful red flower. Look in there. So many cardinal flowers. I'm definitely going to have to get some of these guys away. There's no way I could fit all of them in my garden. But that is pretty thrilling sight to see, is it not? Then we have mist flower. Oh, yeah, they look so happy. I can take the lid off of this one. This is a combo pack. So we have Anise officinalis, toothache plant, which is not native, but it has medicinal benefits. Anise hyssop, which I believe is native, but I'll have to double check that. Blue vervain has not sprouted yet. Now to downy wood mint. Look how happy they are. Oh yeah. Now so far I'm only seeing one Virginia bluebell, and I'm really hoping it's what I think it is and not a surprise guest in the container. Here we have showy goldenrod and columbine. We got a few growing in here. They're kind of all along the edge. I also have a mixed container. Remember those cat treats I was planting things in? Well, looks like we got one pink milkweed in there growing, quite a few marshmallows. Well, that could be a lamb's ear. It's on the other side of the divider. Not sure. Does anybody know if that's what it looks like when it comes up? And then we have common milkweed. So yeah, they're doing real well. The treat container works. I don't know how I'm going to remove them. People have asked that question. I probably will just try to dump out whatever I can without hurting them too much. You may have noticed these guys. So two of the things I did shortly after getting the Audubon Society visit was I started thinking about what plants I could grow what shrubs and trees I can grow in the backyard. And one of them is something that actually has medicinal benefits once it gets old enough, which is witch hazel. Witch hazel, there's actually a variety of witch hazel that's native to Maryland and to this area. I think it's Virginia is part of the scientific name of it, in fact. And look at these beautiful leaves. So I got this two sapling seedlings. I got 2 of them from an online vendor for Etsy. When I got this, it was probably about this tall, and it's gotten a lot taller since then. It's probably easy 2 feet tall now, maybe more. It's got leaves put out, and I know you're supposed to transplant before it starts getting too active, so I need to transplant these guys soon. Witch hazel itself is a frost tolerant variety. I just don't know how frost tolerant they are when they're young. And if you don't know, witch hazel is something that's used for facial toner and all kinds of other medicinal benefits. So I can have a native plant that's beneficial to the local ecosystems and animals and wildlife, and also something that I can use for medicinal purposes. And this is the kind that has those beautiful yellow, sort of spiky looking flowers in the fall and early winter, which I'm really looking forward to. It'll be nice to have a pop of color in the backyard. So I need to plant these up, and they're a bush-like, they're a bush or shrub type plant, and I think they can grow out to like 20 feet wide without a lot of pruning. So I'm not going to give them 20-foot clearance, but I'm going to try to give them at least 5 to 10 feet from the fence line. And I think I can do that. I also have a couple of trees that the city is giving away, including a dogwood, which I have no idea where I'm going to put it because they can get pretty big, and something called a service berry, which provides a lot of food for birds in the fall when a lot of other food is kind of going away. Let me show you what I've got planned and what I've got done so far, and then I'll take you along as I work on some of it. Let me start off with the bed that I've already started setting up. So this is, right here, is my full shade bed. You can see I've set up some logs. These are just logs that came from the yard as we were trimming trees or other things. And so these are, kind of set them up here. We have, you can see over here, we have these sort of already pre-cut logs. A neighbor cut down their tree and gave me a couple of those, and so I'm going to put, I just have the white plant holder there as sort of a placeholder, but I plan on putting some more natural earthy tone planters on top of those. I'm going to have ferns throughout this area. Here are the Christmas ferns that I got also from the same Etsy vendor. I got them as just root balls that they started sprouting in the bag, and so I transplanted them into containers. You could say I was even creative in using yogurt containers for it, and I actually need to water them. Gosh, they're getting dry. But we've had several start to emerge. You can see even here there's a tiny bit of green. This one's starting to come out. They look so alien-like when you first plant them. They really are kind of terrifying. But I'm hoping that once I get them out and in the soil, they'll really thrive, because they are one of the few ferns, the Christmas ferns, are one of the few ferns that will actually stay green through the winter once they're established. So they will be beautiful foliage back there in that bed I showed you. Here I've used just the potting mix that I had in my containers last year. Tomato containers, since the tomatoes were diseased, and I don't want to use this soil for anything else, I'm going to use it in the bed for native plants, because hopefully the kind of diseases that affect tomatoes won't affect native plants. Over here, you can see these are my raspberry plants. 2 years I've had raspberries, but I haven't done much to trim or to trellis them or anything. So this year I took some wire that I didn't put up very well here, and I had some zip ties that I kind of trellised it to it. I had some string to help hold it up. I'm going to come up with a better system, but I just put 3 T-posts or poles in, and I've trellised up these. You can see these gorgeous buds already forming. And this is the kind that you cut back in the winter. You can see they're starting to come back. I didn't cut them back last year, and I got almost I got almost no raspberries from this other variety last year. So I experimented with cutting them back about a month ago, and it looks like they're coming back. So hopefully it'll turn out well, and I'll put some more string up near the bottom to help trellis them up. And then over here we have, this is where I'm adding in the beds. So it's going to continue from basically where that brick is around to where you can see where the grape hyacinths, these beautiful little purple things, the bees love them in the spring. I have no idea if they're native or not though, but they're just such pretty little flowers. The bed's going to continue here around, and then it's going to continue on over all the way to the deck. So you can see I've started setting out some of the cardboard. Here is where I have had my 4x4 raised bed, and I'm not actually going to put cardboard on top of this because this is already well prepped soil. I just need to weed it a little bit, but I do need the cardboard to extend a little bit closer to that area. So I've already chopped back a lot of the bushes and stuff near this edge. Okay, now let's get to prepping this flower bed. So typically you want to spray down or wet down the cardboard after you lay it down before you put whatever you're going to on top of it, the compost or mulch or whatever. I haven't done that and it's not caused problems, but that is what most people recommend. These bags here you're seeing, this is leaf compost, and these blue and white bags are 1 cubic foot each. I bought a lot of this compost throughout the fall. You know, I try not to spend all the money at once on the materials I'm going to have, and also because the supply chain can be so tight, I try to buy, you know, a few bags every time I kind of go to a store or a nursery that has them. These bags are 1.5 cubic feet each, and these are called Leaf Grow. It's something the state sells. I don't have my microphone set up, so excuse the sound levels, but I just wanted to show you. Sometimes when you get a bag of potting mix or of compost, you might see mushrooms in it, and that is a very good sign. That means it's capable of sustaining life, it's got the moisture you need, and mushrooms are a really good sign in your garden of healthy soil or compost. So don't panic if you see mushrooms in what you buy. Well, it's the next day, and I didn't quite finish my project, but sometimes it's good to take a day to think through a project before you finish it up. And I realized that the dogs really do love looking at their neighbors through the corner of that area. So I went and got some pine chips as well as some more compost, and I'm actually going to portion off an area of that corner over there to be mulch and separated by stones, and then I'm probably going to create like a little mulch path for getting in and out of there. Not that they're going to follow it, but at least it'll look nice. Also, for my Buy Nothing group, one of my neighbors offered up, I asked for some rocks for holding things down, that kind of thing, and she offered up rocks that she had left over. All right, here's the end result. So I still need to get some more stones to fill in some of the spots. I've kind of used these bricks and other things as a placeholder, but I think altogether it's turning out quite nice. I actually didn't expect it to look quite this pretty. As for over here, I actually think I'm going to take this compost and put it on this bed, and I'm going to continue the mulch up to the edge, because I might end up planting some things under the tree, but I can always move the mulch at another time, you know? Now let me add one thing. Where I plant the tree, I'm going to plant it into native soil. With native trees and with most trees, you want to plant them directly into soil without any special amendments or anything. So I will have to clear a spot for that, and no, I will not do a mulch volcano around it, I promise. But today is not the day to get that done. Hopefully in the next few days I can do something on that, or maybe next week I'll have it transplanted. But not too bad for 2 days work. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and now I'm gonna I'm starting to try to end things with something beautiful from the garden with a little bit of just silent reverie. So now I'm gonna show you some of the things in my front yard, my spring bed, including some purple iris I planted in memory of my Uncle Bruce.